Hey everybody, this is Debbie, and welcome to the Sane Progressive, the YouTube video series that seeks to inject some sanity into modern American political dialogue. A few days ago, I did a couple videos talking about the Justice Democrat strategy. You know, we really do have a system that is so corrupted at the local, state, and national level that to try to move forward without addressing that full out is going to impede any progress. Until you address that, we are not going to be successful in being able to vote them in. We can't vote them out. Let's go over and take a look. You can listen to what Kyle said.
Why would you not register as a Democrat and then not be able to vote in what's probably the most important election of your lifetime? It certainly was with the last one, Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton. Now, don't get me wrong, we want to open the primaries, and we will fight for that once we're in power, and we're fighting to make third parties a more viable option. Now, even given all the institutional disadvantages against third parties, like I said, we're still your ally. You might not think I'm your ally, you might not think Justice Democrats are your ally, but we are your ally. So I'm happy that there are people trying to wage the revolution from without via a third-party route. And while you do that, we're going to do it from within. We just happen to think our way is the best chance of success. I get it. There were massive biases against Bernie Sanders. That is clear. But hold on. The problem, there was mass voter fraud, and there was this issue and that issue. So they're not even going to let you. You're not going to win in any way, either way. So why would you try to go from within? Well, that's just not true. I don't agree with you if you say that. I don't agree with you if you say it is flat out rigged and he had zero chance from the beginning. No, it was just massively biased against him. There's a difference.
Yes, Kyle, it was flat out rigged, and the evidence is there to prove that point. So you may not believe that, and you may not agree with that, but you are entitled to your own opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. And there is mass evidence of election fraud, and not just bias, but flat out cheating. Our strategy of doing something different, not going with the strategy of trying to retake the Democratic Party from within, something that has been tried, I don't know, since the Jesse Jackson campaign. And the Democratic Party has always co-opted these movements to keep the establishment in. And, and arguing that we have a senator, one senator who is progressive from one state is not an argument that your strategy can work in all of these different states when we have such corruption and fraud occurring at the local, state, and national level, and all these different rules and all of this corruption playing out in different ways. Kyle shows that he does not have a basic foundational understanding of how the fraud occurred. The fact is that we had 11 of the 26 Democratic primaries where their exit polls were conducted did not match the official results outside of the margin of error. That's a fact. And this was often in double digits. Why is this important? Well, the United States State Department, if the exit polls do not match the official results outside of 2% of the margin of error, we will not consider those results valid. This happened in 11 states in the United States Democratic primary election. In Massachusetts, we had all of the hand-counted precincts going to Bernie Sanders in double digits. And here, the exit polls showed a Bernie Sanders win by a pretty large margin. This happened all over the country. So you don't just ignore that. You don't see these mass discrepancies. And what did we see when this started to become a story in the election after New York, when there was like mass problems and voter registration purging was revealed? What did they do when people started to pay attention and the exit polls were not matching? Why, they canceled the exit polls. They canceled the exit polls in all upcoming states, including California, because it was revealing the fraud. My point was that if you wanted to take the Democratic Party back from within, you would have to be willing to address the corruption and fraud that occurred in the 2016 primary election in a massively honest and fierce way. Otherwise, you aren't even going to be operating from a foundational premise of reality. You can go to electionfraud2016.wordpress.com. We vote on machines. that can be remotely hacked covertly without leaving a trace of evidence. We vote on machines that are banned in Europe. We vote on machines that are completely insecure. We vote on machines, the DREs, that don't have a paper trail, that people watch their votes flip before their very eyes. And, if anybody who's like, election fraud didn't occur, the vote flipping didn't occur, it's like, how would you even know? And so the next point Kyle puts up is, why wouldn't you register as a Dem? Well, in terms of why, we tried to register as a Dem, Kyle. We did. We tried to do that. And there was mass purging of people who registered off as Dems off the voter registration rolls, or they had their registration status flipped.
Madam Chair, Representative Wenninger, yes, we have been working on that extensively. In fact, this was something that I know happens, and I know it happened to people in this room. It's not hearsay. It happened to someone in my own office. One of my employees was registered as a particular party, went to go vote. I don't want to divulge his personal details, and it happened to him.
But the bigger point here is that you have people reporting in Arizona that they were purged off the rolls. You have people in New York that were purged off the rolls. You have people all over the country reporting that they were purged off the rolls or that their registration status was flipped, so that they would be ineligible to participate in the Democratic primary. And we know that for a fact. It's like election fraud didn't occur. It's that's a big difference. Yes, it did. One of the things I did with my videos was put out warnings to people to please double check the registration status so that they could ensure that they would be eligible to participate. And I can't tell you the numbers. Untold people writing me in a panic that they had been purged off the rolls or their registrations were changed. And they would send me evidence. They would send me the pictures. This was happening. This is not imagination. We have the evidence. That is the experience of the American people. Now, you may want to deny the experience of the American people because it's inconvenient to the plan that you have put forth, but it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It absolutely did, per the documented evidence that we had. Regardless of intentions, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I would also really warn people about giving money to political candidates through third-party fundraising outlets. I really don't think that's the way we should do. It takes away your agency. Your view of what constitutes somebody who's progressive or somebody that you agree that money should go to might be different upon review than Kyle or Cenk or anybody in that. And so you are not going to have the direct control to be, directing the funds where you want them to go. And it also does something I think that is harmful in that it takes the responsibility of individual citizens away from them to be practicing citizen oversight. And one of the things that people need to do if they are going to practice citizen oversight and hold their government to account is to pay attention to the politicians that they are electing and they're giving money to. And so people need to take the responsibility of seriously researching all of their political representatives and deciding themselves who they want to invest in. That one of the co-founders of this group was a person strongly associated with George Soros. This set me back on my heels when I learned about Zach Exley. He's a co-founder of Brand New Congress. That, you're talking about taking on the Democratic establishment, and then you have somebody who is, kind of a disciple of George Soros through, as a fellow, very heavily associated also with being employed with organizations such as Move On that George Soros funds. George Soros, $25 million to Hillary Clinton in this presidential campaign. Any ties with Soros to that level is a huge red flag for me. And really, guys, how many fundraising organizations do you need? Isn't brand new Congress kind of the exact same thing as Justice Democrats? So why are you doing like so many levels of trying to fundraise? Oh, is it to co-opt the money to be able to direct it where you deem it should go? Here's something else that's interesting. He advised Hillary Clinton directly in 2008, Zach Exley did. He came up in the WikiLeaks, actually. It's unreal. So Zach Exley is co-founding Brand New Congress, and apparently one fundraising or strategy isn't enough. He also wants to be, he's a co-founder and leader of Justice Democrats. He's a man with a long-term history of deep and direct involvement of Soros-funded agencies, acting as a direct advisor for strategic long-term planning projects of the Open Society Foundation, for which he was a fellow between March 9th and 2010. Also serving was Exley on the advisory board of NOI was Nathaniel Perlman, another leftist political operative. In 1997, Perlman founded NGP Software, a computer-oriented company organized to provide political software identifying Democratic voters. Remember NGP van that was breached? Remember that? We had reports October of 2015 where Bernie Sanders, the wall kept coming down. And people were, a lot of people in the election integrity activist community who are looking at these voter registration roll purging, and then the registration rolls being hacked all over the country, and seeing that Bernie Sanders voters have been targeted. People were really concerned about, how did they get that information? Well, NGP Van was, chosen by a Hillary Clinton super PAC. And the ties to Hillary Clinton with that organization, absolutely stunning. And this was what Bernie Sanders was running his, his voter management system, just like Hillary Clinton. And then you find out that these voter roll, there's these data breaches going down and the firewalls going down. What would have taken for them to be extracting data for being able to use this as the list to be targeting people who were purged all over the country? Now, we don't know if that happened as a fact. That would need a full-out investigation. But given that Bernie Sanders voters were being targeted for purging off the rolls all over the country, and we know that there was a database, a firewall breach between the campaign databases, this has been a really red flag for many people in the election integrity activist community, thinking how this is maybe how they got the list of people to target. But why can't we be successful? The only thing that's stopping us from being successful and moving forward in an entirely new way is the belief that we can't. That is what keeps us enslaved ultimately. And the people that we're talking about, they're talking about on the Justice Democrats, the big thing that they need to do is to get a pledge to make sure they don't take corporate money. Well, people in the alternative movement that I'm dealing with are saying that you need candidates who will vow that they will address any kind of election fraud or any kind of shenanigans, like we saw in the 2016 election, up front and immediately, and do everything within their power to protect the vote. Because if you don't protect the vote, you will not win. So Kyle is sadly mistaken if he thinks that Hillary Clinton won the 2016 Democratic primary nomination. She didn't. There was mass purging of the voter rolls. We know that for sure. We have mass evidence of vote flipping on the machines with the exit polls not matching the official results outside of the margin of error. We have mass evidence of absentee ballot stuffing and caucus rigging and every other dirty trick in the book. This wasn't just biased. This was flat out rigged. And if you cannot acknowledge that fact, good luck in developing a strategy to address the true corruption and fraud that you would have to fight if you wanted your strategy to have a chance in hell. All right, everybody. As always, this is Debbie, the Sane Progressive. You guys stay sane. Peace out. We're going to be talking about a lot of alternative movement possibilities, and we're going to be talking with a lot of the alternative movement leaders who are meeting on the ground to discuss a new way. And if this sounds good, stay tuned. Peace out, everybody.